Hi everybody, and a great Easter to you all. My name is Doug Carbol, and I'm here today to talk to you about your greatest fears when it comes to buying or selling your home. Actually, my wife is going to help me, so I'm going to turn it over to her, and you guys have a great Easter.
See how he passed the buck so quickly? Anyways, happy Easter everybody, and welcome to Coffee with the Carbols. I'm really glad that you are able to come and join us today to talk about the biggest fears when thinking about selling a home. So Doug and I discussed this in detail yesterday, and we discuss it with clients every day, hundreds of clients, day in and day out. It's a question that comes up all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review the three main things that people always talk about. The first thing is like people ask themselves or ask us when they come to meet, when we meet with them, is can I get what I want for my home? Can I get the right number for my home so that I can move into the home that I want to be in? And that's a really important question. So when we're looking at selling somebody's home and people are afraid about making sure that they can get the right amount of money to be able to enter into the next home that they're going to buy, we have to talk about realistic goals and expectations, okay? So for example, let me put it this way. Markets are fickle. They change from day to day. What something is worth today may not be what it's worth tomorrow. And that could be in your favor as a seller or against you. And there's so many factors that determine this, but basically it's a supply and demand thing. And markets have sort of a cycle, a cyclical cycle of about 5 years. So things go up and down, ebb and flow within a 5-year cycle, but we're fortunate because we live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and we live in BC, right by the water, and everyone wants to live here. So the cyclical pattern goes up and down, but with an upward swing, okay? So if people are wondering, if they've lived in their homes for a long time, the chances of them getting a lot of money for their home is high compared to how much they bought it for. So when people say to me, am I gonna get the right amount for my home? What we do is we do an evaluation of the homes that have sold in your area in the past 60 to 90 days. We try not to go any farther back than that because after 90 days, it's considered a stale market. But for some properties, we have to go further back because there's not a lot of inventory to look at. So we look at, that's one of the main things we look at. And of course, your home is unique compared to other homes. So we have to take in consideration of a lot of other things like the renovations, the upkeep, the location, and the overall condition of your home, okay? So when we come and meet with you, I'm going to give you a range of what I think your home can sell for, and I'm not going to tell you your home is worth $3 million when it's only worth $2 million, or say $1 million if it's only worth $700,000. Some realtors may do this because it'll get your hopes high, and maybe you think that that would be the best way. Like, yes, we want to make that kind of money, and you put it on the market and then you just sit there and nobody writes an offer. Now, it's so important to price your property correctly from the very start. And I really recommend that this is something that you really consider. So hire the right type of realtor that will tell you the truth and that will give you expectations that are realistic. Because in a market, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, if you're not priced properly, your home will sit there. And in the first month, there's usually a 60 to 70% chance of your home selling. And after the first month, it drops quite significantly to about 30%. So you have to really make sure that you're priced correctly so you can captivate the audience, the buyer, from the very start. Because after that point, it starts to become what's called a stale listing. And people will say, oh, I know that listing, they're overpriced. And if you're overpriced, people will feel reluctant to want to even look at your home because they'll feel that you're not motivated or serious enough to sell your home. Okay, so it's really important. You can definitely find out whether or not it's feasible to go to your next move if you hire a really good realtor that will be honest with you, okay? The second most important thing is to talk to your bank. Talk to your mortgage person and find out what you can afford to move into. If you're upsizing, this is really, really important. And also if you're downsizing, you need to know what is realistic in terms of your future goals. If you're downsizing and you're retired, you probably on a fixed income, you want to make sure that you're not overspending and have nothing on a day-to-day basis. If you're upsizing, you want to make sure that you can also pay for all of the other expenses aside from buying and selling a home, because that costs money in itself with real estate fees, property transfer tax, GST if it's new, there's, moving costs, all of that. And then when you move into your new home, you have to consider you may want to do some upgrades. If it's not a brand new home, that'll cost you. You may need a new roof. All of those things you need to take into consideration, as well as property taxes, which is expensive, utilities, and what else was I going to say? Doug's mouthing something. Maintenance is really important. You have to make sure that if you have a garden, that you have to maintain that. Can be very, very expensive. If you move into, Doug's giving me some tips. If you move into a townhome, you have to consider maintenance fees and potential upcoming levies. So there's a lot of costs associated with moving and making your move. And so what us as realtors do is we help you to budget these things so you are aware and have those expectations in mind when you're budgeting. So you don't just say, how much can I afford on a home? How much can I afford on a home plus maintenance, plus taxes, plus utilities, plus, okay? So we are there to help you to consider all those factors, not just the cost of buying and selling. So hopefully that answers that question generally to you in terms of whether or not you can get the price you want. If you're realistic, absolutely. If you heed the advice of your realtor, I will give you a range within what I think is what buyers and sellers are purchasing your home for in today's market. If you heed our advice, then the chances are then you can get that amount. If that amount is not the amount you want, then maybe it's not the time to buy or sell your home. Buy a home right now, okay? So yes, so that's the number one question. The second one is timelines. Okay, we're running out of time. Doug's saying that, it's true, we don't want to go on forever. But the other thing that I want to talk about is timelines. And maybe next week we'll continue this conversation because it's a big conversation, the fears, okay? So people are like, will I find the right home? What's going to happen if I don't find the right home? If I sell my home and I can't find the right home, am I going to be stuck having to deal with, move into some place that I'm not really 100% in love with? That's a huge fear. And we, again, as realtors, can help you to make the right decisions. So when you're thinking about buying into a different market, either upsizing, downsizing, or moving to a different location, what we do is we try and give you what is out. We try and show you all the examples of what you can buy in today's market. We don't say go ahead and purchase the home first, because unless you can afford to do that ahead of time, you do need to sell your home first, okay? So what we do is we first talk about what it is you are looking for in a home. What are your 5 must-haves? What are things that are super important to you in terms of the next home you're looking for? We look at whether or not you can afford that. That's the conversation I was talking about. And then we look at the market to see what's available and how fast the market is going. Now, if the market is going super fast on both selling and buying, so if you have a house and the market's going really fast and you want to say downsize into a townhome and the market's going really fast, there are a few things you can do. One of them is, like I said, I highly recommend, unless if you have the cash to buy another home, to sell your home first. Statistically and through my experience, when people buy a home, sell their home, they always wonder if they can find another home. I've never had anybody not find another home as long as they have enough time to do it, and a home that they really love. So I know that's a fear because it's the unknown, but it's definitely something that I've never had a problem helping clients find a perfect and ideal home that they love, as long as they give themselves enough time. So when you're looking to sell your home, of course, you have to plan and prepare all the things you need to do to get the home on the market. And then once you get the home on the market, simultaneously, we can start looking for the home that you want. We may not write an offer on it, but we'll just see what's available out there. In the meantime, what you want to do is you want to plan ahead that if an offer comes in on your property, that you ask the buyers if you can have 3 to 4 months to complete the sale. Many buyers will agree to this because it will allow them time to sell their home or do what they need to do to get into your home. So 3 to 4 months usually is plenty of time to be able to find an appropriate home. And another thing you can do, if the buyers are not interested in that as a transaction, you can ask if they would be willing to rent the home back to you. This is a really valuable tool. So what you would do is they would purchase the home from you and you would rent back to them. So they would officially purchase the home from you and you would rent to them the home that you're living in, so you wouldn't own it anymore. And you would have some time to be able to find a home and have the money to buy the home that you want to buy. I hope that makes sense to you. But that's another tool that we use to help clients when they're looking to make sure that they can afford to buy the other home, as well as sell their home. There's so many other things I want to talk to you about fears around selling, but we're running out of time for today. So I'd like to continue this conversation next week. And I hope you can join me for the continuation of fears of selling a home. And I'd be happy to help you out. Doug and I are really looking forward to working with you guys. And I really wish you all a very happy Easter. Cheers.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great Easter.